Tice Madox Solicitors is results-oriented, but with a distinctive approach tailored to our clients' needs in our specialist fields: immigration law, criminal law, employment law, commercial law, family law, and contracts law. We are well equipped in our litigation and advocacy for the benefit of our clients, corporates, and individuals. Why not visit us at 5 Oakfield House, Oakfield Road, Ilford, London, IG1 1EF. We are just 15 minutes from Liverpool Street Station. Tice Madox Solicitors. Try us. We are professional.
Hello and welcome to the program. My name is Justice Maduforo. I am a solicitor of the Senior Court of England and Wales. I'm also a barrister solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. I am also a police station and duty solicitor, a magistrate court duty solicitor of England and Wales, which means that I, Tice Madox Solicitors, will represent you at the police station free of charge in all police stations in England and Wales under the legal aid contract, all the way to the magistrate court subject to means testing, and then to the Crown Court and Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court as well, depending on if your case goes to that level. Ladies and gentlemen, matters of criminal matters, all matters of criminal matters, from common assault, criminal damage, as much as that, to murder, to manslaughter, to serious fraud, conspiracy fraud, HMRC fraud, whatever fraud it is, bank fraud, breach of trust matters in every area that has to do with police station, including driving offenses. Ladies and gentlemen, I will represent you free of charge at the police station. And then obviously this firm will present you matters in employment matters, in the county court, all matters, contract matters in the county court, everything about county court, and also matters in the family law, as I mentioned to you earlier, and landlord and tenants, especially matters that go to the county court. Ladies and gentlemen, I have discussed on this program these areas of law that lies within our expertise, of which you will need to go just sleep and allow us to do the job for you. Now, before I commence my topic today, I must disclaim this, that whatever you hear me speak on this program or any of my discussants on this program, they are not legal advice. Therefore, you must not act on them, but rather seek independent legal advice. When you call a telephone number and book an appointment to come to the office to see me one-on-one, and we'll be able to take detailed instructions from you and advise you accordingly. At that point, you can act on what we tell you, and what we advise you on. If you now want us to take the matter further for you and escalate and expand on it, we are so glad to always represent and fight for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be discussing today joint venture agreement, contracts, joint venture agreements. Joint venture agreement. It's as the name goes. What is joint venture agreement? Why am I discussing this topic today? Remember, as I said, we are in the field all the time. And so matters we discuss are not theory, are not off-the-shelf discussion. They are not matters from the textbook. They're not matters from the internet. No, what we discuss to you are very life, practical matters that we've dealt with and we are dealing with. And as a result of our analysis and profile of how people still get it wrong, and even as we do these matters for them, so we present to discuss them, they are not legal advice, to kickstart their consciousness so that you can nip it in the bud from the beginning. Therefore, it does not escalate to the point where you can no longer surmount it. But that's why Tice Madox Solicitors will start at the very foundation to deal with it for you so that it does not escalate in such a way that you could not be able to grapple the extent of the damage and going forward. And even if the damage has gone forward, Tice Madox Solicitors will stand there for you, to fight for you, to make sure you recover whatever thing that you've lost. Now, this is in the palace, a purview of civil proceedings. What I'm discussing today is will be in the palace and in the purview of civil proceedings. Civil proceedings, and that had to do with joint venture agreement. What is joint venture agreement? I tell you now, as you're watching me, either on the TV, on YouTube, or on the Facebook, wherever you're watching me, or you listen to this program, you one way or the other, consciously or unconsciously, you've entered into a joint venture agreement with your friends, with your family members, with your colleagues, with business partners. Now, the reason why I'm streamlining this now, I'm targeting you now, the minorities. Minorities in the United Kingdom consistently flaw the laws, consistently are ignorant of the laws, whether they are consciously ignorant or they are determined to completely waive out the certain requirement and procedure they should follow when it comes to certain things they do in the United Kingdom. Because you cannot, when things go wrong in this country, you cannot do it your way. It got to be the legal way. And that is why before you go into that, why don't you start dealing with it in the legal way? Then you will be able, I will tell you this at the end of this program, and why you should do it in the legal way. Why am I targeting and speaking to you with some of you, especially the audience of this program, particularly this Belief TV, I've been predominantly the minority. And I can tell you, the world thing we've dealt with in the past is the minority getting it completely very wrong and believing on the notion of trust. Now, this is contract, joint venture agreement, whether advertently or inadvertently, voluntarily or involuntarily, or by coercion or by mistrust, you've entered into this contracts. These are contracts. So this topic on joint venture contract, joint venture agreement, will start from the minute scale, which is the small scale. There's a small scale, that is a medium and average scale, and then you have the high scale. What is joint venture? Joint venture is where 2 or 3 entities, which is you as a human being, you're an entity, or a company that is an entity, then join together, pool their resources together for the mutual benefit. What is that mutual benefit? The mutual benefit to profit, the mutual benefit to acquire properties, the mutual benefit to run a project, the mutual benefit to keep already existing projects to keep on going. Their mutual benefit to make profit. Their mutual benefit to keep a business alive. Whatever the category or criteria that you fall into, and I'm talking on the small scale business, because this applies to majority of the minorities who are still in the small scale business. But obviously, whatever I'm discussing also envelopes and overlaps into the medium and the high scale businesses. Now, let me start from the small scale businesses. Small scale businesses are entirely yourself as an individual. As an individual, now you have your friend, your family member, your in-law, your cousin, your brother, your business partner, your friend for so long, you've been together so long, and he has a particular knowledge of one particular thing, and that particular knowledge, a particular thing, that particular knowledge of that friend or that person and that individual is profitable in such a way that if you be able to enhance it together and collect it together for business purposes, it will turn out profit. And you've decided to say, listen, mate, let's join together and get this with your knowledge, with your expertise. Let me pool resources together. I bring resources, I bring some finances, you bring some finances with your knowledge. Let's get this thing done. That's nothing wrong in that. That's perfectly beautiful, because every individual is embedded with one knowledge or the other, or the expertise or the other, in such a way that when resources are put together, when 2 entities or individuals come together, they can achieve tremendous success. Tremendous success. And I can tell you today, most of the successes you see recorded in the business world as a result of 2 or 3 people pull their resources together, pull their knowledge together, and they succeed, but in a better way, and the company lasts and lasts. Now, let me revert back to discussing the small scale, which I'm discussing here today. Now, whatever applies to the small scale applies to the medium and high scale businesses in terms of joint venture agreement. Now, for the small scale agreement here, applies to the minority who have put resources together, agreed together with your family members, their father, their mother, to either develop a property, buy a derelict property, or buy an auction property to develop it. And some of them also put together to run a particular ongoing business, a business that's ongoing but dilapidating in such a way the other party comes together to fuse in order to raise this business to a certain level of profitability. Both of them join hands together. Or one person has already established a business, either the sole director, and have asked the other person to come along and help me run this business, help me provide your expertise. Let's join hands together, in quote, to build this business. And they have joined hands together to do that. So the list of the type of small-scale businesses is inexhaustive, in the sense that there might be so many criteria of which you've come in to join or to support a business or to grow a venture or to start an idea in order to grow it with your friend, a trusted ally for so long, especially. It comes from people you trust so much. Now, that will come under the word trust here, because some of you, as I said, discussed this with you, have dealt with this matter and we're still dealing with it in office. And the reason why we discuss it is with the mistakes you do when joint venture agreement had entered and then dispute arise. When dispute arise because you have entered into a trust relationship. When trust relationships goes in, remember, trust sometimes does not tally well with business. It does not. Once there's a profit in sight, once there's a growth expected for a simple business, no matter how it is, even if it's selling business, even if it's just to sell bread, or to sell whatever it is you're selling, or to just push something, or even to export certain things. You know, some of you do that. You know, in Tilbury, for instance, some of you join hands together to, fill in a container in order to export it to other countries and then make profit. And these are joint venture businesses, joint venture agreement, which you don't know. And a lot of dispute fall out of that agreement because it's a trust. And at that stage and point in time, the person, both parties do not actually know how to start this in a legal way. And so as a result of that, they have run blindly. Trust is always the fundamental problem that have destroyed business ongoing concern as a result of breach of trust. Now, joint venture agreement. Under the small scale, you've entered into the scale with your friend, which, as I said, mentioned so many criteria of which you joined us. And it happens that along the line, there's now a mistrust. A trust have turned to mistrust. Even if there was no mistrust, there's now more profit coming out, and that you do not know now how to share. But because you did not start with a joint venture agreement first before you entered into that trust relationship, and on that basis, now profit, how do you now start to divide this profit? That's why you see a business that's growing today, the next day is gone. Because those who have formulated, those who are growing it are now a loggerhead with each other. The business that is profitable has now collapsed because the energy that was into it before, the determination to grow it before has now evaporated because there is a mistrust that has stepped in. Even if there was no mistrust, there was no a dispute as to how to divide equitably the profit. Who brings what? Who takes what? Becomes a problem. Now, these things are rampant, I tell you this, because you are listening to me now, you are going into it. United Kingdom is a country of laws, and when you don't follow the procedures and you fall into that category, you cannot do it your way to remedy it, unfortunately. You cannot go take police to arrest him. No, it is not under the criminal matter unless a criminal allegation has been committed as a result of that business. Then you can involve the police, where there is no criminal element involved, but as a result of breaking and dispute and dealing with the business, in terms of even the banking, who's supposed to be signing the document, who's supposed to be signing out checks, who's supposed to be paying out, who's supposed to be receiving, who's supposed to be to evaluating, who's supposed to signing out the bank of accounts. These are all dispute. Who's supposed to relate with the HMRC, the Majesty of Revenue and Custom? Who's supposed to be relating to the taxman? These are all the problems that will come up as a result of unpackaged, unplanned, and completely haphazard decisions on joint venture agreements on the contract. And then what happens? The matter is sought back to civil litigation, starting from the county court, as it is dependent on the volume of cash or volume of finance involved. If the volume of finance is quite high, then obviously it commences from the High Court of Justice rather from the county court. But ladies and gentlemen, and that is another huge tax to carry on along the line, because it will not only take long years of litigations going forward, and you will not be able to present your case to see whether or not you have a better chance on that case in that defense if you're the one defending, or you're the claimant if you're the one claiming against your partner. Now, that is joint business agreement, joint venture agreement. Both of you have put your resources together. Both of you have given your time, and you think you deserve more. But the time you've put in, the explanation you've made, the time you've committed, and even the little resources you put forward, become unknown to you that this business has now blossomed to such a way that you now want to be part of the profit, you don't want to be part of it, and then it becomes a problem. Setting the record straight from the beginning is always the issue and always the problem. When it comes to minorities entering into a financial contract, a financial joint business ventures is always a problem. It's always a problem. And I tell you this, a majority of them go out bruised when they follow litigation. When you come to Tice Madox Solicitors, even if your partner is not aware, even if you do not know how to discuss this with him, you can revert and take legal advice, even subtly begin to apply it and begin to document by taking all the advice in relation to whether or not you actually have any benefit in that business. Sometimes you think you have, but you don't have. But we can only analyze that whether you have a business in there or not. A lot of things can come out of business, misplaced, entered into business ventures. It comes with catastrophe of issues. The mistrust that will go into it is terrible. Now, some of you may say it doesn't really apply to me. Now, can I just give you an explanation? Now, for instance, you're being called upon to help them, market a certain business, and it's a new startup business, and you're not part of the sole directors, but your activities may make you a de facto director, but you're not registered with Companies House as a director. You're not. But your actions and the inactions that you put to the company and the allowance and the freedom the owner of the sole director or the partner of the sole business owner or the sole trader have given to you, the open hands given to you to interact with their businesses, interact with their customers, interact with their clients, may make you a de facto director in the sense that you see yourself, as part of the business, of which you get some also remuneration by way of either commission or by way of a salary that is undefined. Some of you going through that right now. But at that stage, you are comfortable with the fact that you're making money, but not knowing that that dynamic nature of life is so funny that the moment everything is working out fine, I tell you, with time, the mindset, because the mindset is what is driving the business, was the mindset clicks and changes, then obviously it will revert back to a great whole lot of dispute as a result of that business. Small scale business is what I'm talking about, because some of you who are watching this is under that scale. But if you have a business, for instance, and you are running a business watching this program, and you are also considering and entered into another business concern with another business in order to form another business or to win a project, but either from a council or from any of these companies, or that some of you are IT specialists and you have joined a business together in order to win a contract to retrieve some of the old unused computers of these businesses and of this business from either council or big conglomerate of businesses, and they are now doing away their computers or their hardwares, and you now want to join a business in order to win that contract without specifying clearly, because at that point in time, what is driving you is understanding so you can win the contract. You forget the nitty-gritty, you forget the foundation, you forget the basics, and these are basics that will drive you. And once that business, at this first time in time, you may not think this business will profit or will succeed, but it started profiting. The question now will be, how do you now manage your profit? How do you disburse the profit within yourselves based on what this person have done? These are all joint venture agreements that you have entered voluntarily or involuntarily. But the problem is that they're not documented. And because they're not documented, you think you have all the facts in your brain. Listen, those facts will be subject to scrutiny, will be subject under civil litigation scrutiny. And when they go through that civil litigation scrutiny, you may not stand any chance in upholding and in showing forth that your agreement you entered was exactly what you entered and it has been breached. When such agreement has been entered, it's difficult to find where the breach of contracts have occurred, because breaches of contract is almost every single day. It occurs in businesses. Breach of contract, either minute or whatever big it is, breaches of contract are bound to occur. They are bound to occur because this is a voluminous document, an inexhaustive list of our obligations. And when you don't meet them and you breach, it is said that you breach a contract. It depends on how the other person view that contract you breached, whether it's remediable, whether you can remedy, or whether you can compensate on. And if you cannot do any of this, then the other person may escalate it further, either using the opportunity to ease you out of the business in order to carry on the business himself, and then we allege breach of contract. And in that circumstance, you're not left to fend for yourself, in the sense that the only option left for you now is to challenge such decisions before the court of record, before the court of law. If the court of law will look at your position and see whether or not you're right or wrong, then obviously you have it. The question and the issue here I'm addressing you is that before you go into that joint venture agreement, in order to avoid dispute, that you can get it done proper way, your perspective taken into account. Some of you drive these things yourself without having an expertise touch on it. It's not what you get on the internet. No, they're not the same. But I can tell you, when you look at the business, because we are business oriented, we look at the business you're going into, we look at way ahead of this profitability of this business, and in impute into it the clauses that will protect you as this business develops. Even as the business winds down, some business will start tomorrow and end up in a month's time. What will be your liabilities when this business closes down? These are the things we will look into and also protect you as your solicitor. We will do that. We will even monitor such business contracts, just business ventures and agreement. We monitor to ensure that both parties are not breaching it. And if they breach it, if there will be any specific performance that is required at that point in time to remedy that breach or to remedy that damage. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm discussing joint venture agreement, and specifically I'm narrowing it down under small-scale business. Small-scale business, which majority of you go into, either through your brothers and sisters, as I mentioned earlier, not remembering, not understanding the fact. So it brings in acrimony between relations, between friends. It's definitely, it splits relationship, it splits friends. Now, I will give you a case law to buttress what I'm talking about. There's a case of Eden against Parker. Eden against Parker. This is a locus classicus case when it comes to joint venture agreement gone horrifically wrong. And this is what some of you go into. And the funny thing out here is that one of the parties involved in this joint venture agreement is even a solicitor. But because he has a long-term relationship with his friend, and they put their resources together to develop properties, to repair, renovate a property. Why are they renovating the property? They buy the derelict properties, renovate it, and market it and make profit. Remember I said, the both joint venture agreement is when two parties bring their resources together and put it together for the mutual benefit. What is the mutual benefit? It could be anything. It could be by way of profit. It could be by way of the business going further. It could even be by way of if the business succeed, I will join you as, based on the agreement to join the other party as a partner or as a director if the business, gets a certain level. And so it gets to that level. The other party completely withdraw from such agreement. It's not documented. It's now become very difficult for the court to understand and to analyze your input in this business up to the point it gets to the stage. And also look at the other party's argument to your involvement in the business. So it's a two-way coin. You toss the coin up, it's either land on the face or land the other side. So that's what it is. But to avoid that, so that when you throw your coins up, it will definitely land at the point that you wanted. It's when you prepare a joint venture agreement, even if you are running on serious trust with your friend of many years, and some of you feel, oh, you don't trust me. Come on, I've been there. So you feel that this is someone I've known for years. He can't probably do that. No, when it comes to business, it's not as if you don't trust the person. It must be so. It certainly must be so. The law has made it that way. Because when you go into oral agreement, it's always difficult for the court to analyze and to come to the right issue at the point, depending on what the parties are agreeing. In that point in time, a miscarriage of justice can take place because oral agreement could have a different connotations, a different interpretation to it based on the facts. So when your fact is going towards you, another party counters it with its own facts. Some of these facts can sound very plausible before the judge. So the judge is swayed to take what is to him more convenient rather than what is the real point in issue. And in that case, a miscarriage of justice has occurred. And when you appeal further, it becomes a more heckling tax and challenge for you to overturn that decision of a county court judge before the second judge or before the High Court of Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, depending on where your matter started from, either from the county court or in the High Court of Justice. Now, drafting the issues, your particulars of claim is another important factor when you bring a claim of breach of contract before the court of law. Some of you particulars of claim are so horrible in such a way that you cannot even, stand to scrutinize it. They stand to be unactionable particulars of claim. Rather, they are all chunked out to be complaint rather than dealing with the issues. Some of you have multiple claims, multiple particulars of claim, with so much paragraphs that does not in any way lead to the main issue. The judges struggle to find out what is the issue here. Ladies and gentlemen, Tice Madox Solicitors will narrow the issues down if you are in that particular circumstance, going through that contract challenge before the county court or court of appeal or whatever court you're going through, high court, whatever it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we will guide you through. But our emphasis has been before you get there, nip it in the bud by getting this surmounted, prepare the agreement for you, and sign and execute it in such a way that it stands to be a document. Whatever it is, even if you do not want to breach that trust with your partner or your friend, whatever it is, you can still come and seek advice by the way. That advice will enable you along the line how to introduce it so that you'll be able to be sure what you're engaging and getting yourself into. Now, the case of Eden and Parker, as I was explaining, is a very horrific joint venture agreement gone wrong, as I explained to you. More especially, even a solicitor was involved in it and could not even present a reasonable joint venture agreement to go into it, and in relation to renovation of properties. And this is a renovation of property that's worth £1 million. £1 million renovation expenses, of which that there have been now a plethora of challenge of claims against each other by way of a breach of contract, by way of a negligent misstatement, and by way of other completely different damages that have been put forward. And then what is the claim? Claim is in huge thousands of pounds. And this is just a very simple matter that I would have been dealt with and sorted from the beginning. And of course, the judge did not take it lightly with the parties, in the sense, especially with the man that's expected to know better, which is the solicitor as one of the claimants, one of the parties to the claim, that he should have known better how to draft and agree a joint venture agreement to start with going forward. But because of this issue called trust, it's becoming a very cankerworm cancer dealing and destroying contracts in going future, and then presenting itself along the line in courts of record, of which that judges find it difficult to interpret. Some of you enter into this agreement even in the pub, even in the football match. You just sit there and you agree a contract, you agree an agreement, you move on. Undocumented, that's really wrong. That's not the way to do things. This country is the country of laws, and it will determine your matter based on your actions you've taken, and you've done it properly in the way it should be. It saves you cost, time, and expenses, and serious depression. It will save you from. Litigation is not something to go through unnecessarily because of the delay that will be incurred in court, the expenses that will be incurred in court, and in the event you fail in court, the cost that you will incur, either on the parties of the cost of legal fees or the cost you incur paying even your solicitor to write on the matter for you. If you do that yourself, obviously you would not even present yourself with a better chance of success, because rather you're only just running on emotions. And when you run on emotions in matters of law, they do not stand anywhere. And they are getting to be thrown out of the window because they are emotion-based claim rather than legal facts and legal matters and legal issues-based claim. Tice Madox Solicitors will stand to do that for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been discussing joint venture agreement over especially the disputes that come out of that contract when you go into it without streamlining your case. I have just discussed the small scale. The next discussion will be on the medium and obviously the high scale, which now involve big national companies going into joint venture agreement, either in oil and gas sector, in construction sector, or in food beverage sector, to understand how to put their documents together. But the sequence of which I've explained and thrown out here applies even much more, obviously, to the matters had to do with big national and high-scale contract. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I do not have much time. But the next time I come your way, I remain your regular solicitor, Justice Maduforo, and obviously your preferred firm, Tice Madox Solicitors. Be strong.
Tice Madox Solicitors is results-oriented, but with a distinctive approach tailored to our clients' needs in our specialist fields.